A coalition of health activists has called on government to change laws governing patents. That's as lobby groups respond to the draft national policy on intellectual property. Well, let's explore that issue with patent attorney Danie Dohmen. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what troubles you, if anything, about this particular law?
Good afternoon. The Patents Act, as it stands currently, is very sufficient in our view to cater for a range of industries, technology sectors, and it doesn't focus primarily on the health sector. The draft policy, on the other hand, is clearly focused on the health sector, which is problematic out of the perspective from many other sectors, as it will influence those sectors quite severely. And
why is it problematic?
many industry players feel that some of the proposed policies that would look at public interest aspects does not foresee the consequences for other sectors, for manufacturing, for investor confidence, employment, etc. There are a number of aspects and proposals, specifically aimed at pharmaceutical industry, that could cause, for example, a flight of investor capital, flight of manufacturing capability, employment opportunities, and those are serious concerns that are being addressed by commentators on the draft policy.
But some of these lobby groups, for example, are arguing that it simply allows pharmaceutical companies to basically profit off these medicines, which are basic and needed here in South Africa. And countries like India, when they introduced some laws, didn't suffer some of the challenges that you've pointed out.
It is true that it is definitely in the public interest that people should have access to affordable medicine. That's not being disputed. The question is the patent law responsible for that? In South Africa, approximately 95% of all medicines that's been developed over many years are available. They're off patent, they're genericized, and they are available at the most cost-effective prices. There's only a very small patents that still apply to some medicines. So to blame the patent system for lack of access is probably not explaining the full picture. The World Health list of essential medicines, there are no patents in South Africa on those medicines. So they should be generally available, and whatever happens to the patent laws, it's not going to influence access to those. The exceptions that are being brought forward by some of the health activists are just those. They are exceptions. And it is important that we do promote innovation and protect good innovation, because that brings the new products to the market. That brings the medicines that you and your children and your children's children one day would need. And without that protection, there's a fear that maybe in 50 years' time, we would be using generic medicine that's 50 years old, and we won't have access to the latest and greatest. So access is a complex issue, and part of it is to recognize the need for innovation.
Sure. Yeah. But doesn't this law to some extent balance those needs?
Our current patent law does balance that need. Our current law protects only incremental innovation as long as it's new and inventive. Yeah. It's the highest standard applied worldwide, and it's applied here. If an innovation is off patent, it can be used by any party. So there's no restriction on that. Our patents are examined through a court system before they are enforced. There's no examination through the Patents Office per se. However, in order to enforce, you must show that your patent is valid.
Right.
And that protects
do you foresee
interest.
a big battle between, if this legislation then comes to be, between the major pharmaceuticals over this particular provision?
The fear is that Big Pharma won't spend the funds required to bring new products to South Africa. And that is the fear, that we won't have access to new products anymore. That's the fear, and that should be the focus. And the focus should be the fact that we are turning our strong patent system that promotes innovation, promotes employment, promotes investor confidence to a weak one. And that should be the real concern.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. That was patent attorney Danie Dohmen.